I've been making films for as long as I can remember. When I was about 8 years old, my dad got an iPad and it came with the ability to record video. And as a child, I was so enamored with this new piece of technology that I could record video with. And eventually I did it so much on my dad's iPad that he was sick of having to give me his iPad. So he gave me my own tablet and I would make films with my cousins and I would try and make little animations and I would make skits. And then when I was 15, I took a media course at school and we had this teacher who brought in this small crew. We had 2 actors and a cameraman. And I thought, oh, this is rubbish. I'm not very good at this at all. And then at the end of the day, the cameraman came to me and said, you have a natural talent for this. You should pursue a career. At the very last minute, I applied to Central Bedfordshire to take on their media course. And I've never looked back. I wouldn't be where I am without all the people who have taught me. Brendan Cumberbatch, Emma Topping, Claire Webster, David Carter, all these people. I want to give a special shout out to Elliot Wood. I love every single element of making films, from developing the narrative to editing at night. And then once I'd finished college, I realised that I understood the basics of filmmaking. I understood narrative development and the technical skills that would be needed, but I didn't know anything about the business of the film industry. And everything sort of seemed to happen just at the right moment because Greenham Film School was starting a film business course. It was a bachelor's degree. And I thought, this is perfect, I'm going to go and do that. So I've studied film for 5 years and then I've just finished that. Now I'm out of the nest. Here I am. My name's Ethan J. Lawrence. I purposely have the J in my name because there's an actor called Ethan Lawrence who I actually quite like his work, but obviously the integrity of the profession dictates that I need to substantiate my name in such a way that it's different from his, so we can be differently identified. I'm a producer, but outside of my work, I'm just a man making his way in the universe. I like to play video games, I like to spend time with my family, I like to spend time with my friends. There's nothing better in this world than loving and being loved. And I think it's such a huge part of my life to be able to share experiences with others. Everyone in their soul has got an urge to express themselves, and that comes out in various ways. I could never do what a production designer does, I could never do what a DOP does. I produce, which means facilitating others to do their best work, and that's what it is for me. But as time has gone on, of course, I'm more focused on the business aspects. So again, it's facilitating the creation of a creative work. And that might not always necessarily be my film. It might be someone else's. It probably always will be someone else's. And that's perfectly fine. That's what it's about for me. But in my heart, I feel like I'm an artist. And the whole point of art is to not only express yourself, but to leave impressions on others. If you have someone come up to you and say, I watched your film and I hated it, that means that they not only they consumed your art, they spent enough time thinking about it to form an opinion. So it doesn't matter to me whether people like my films or hate my films. It's the fact that it's out there and it's leaving an impression. But I've always had this natural drive to entertain and to tell stories. Inspiration is anywhere and everywhere. I'm driven a lot by social issues. The stories that I want to tell have to mean something to the people around me. They have to mean something to me as well. I can't make something that's driven by a desire just to put bums in seats, because the whole point of the art of the moving image is not only to entertain, but it's to move us. It's not just to feel happy or to feel excited or to be engaged. It's to feel a wide and complex range of emotions. Film can do that, and that's what I want to do. So I just try to find inspiration in what moves me. And I think with this film, what moves me is, it's really simple. I just spend too much time in front of my screens. I have to brain rot before I go to bed. It's really bad. But our thoughts and our opinions are moulded and cultivated by the things that we perceive and the things we consume. Everyone would be just a little bit better off if we're all just a bit more aware of what's being fed to us. Even if you think consciously you don't agree with something, when you perceive it, your subconscious will retain it in some regard. And that's what the film is about. And that's where I found my inspiration. I like to procrastinate and self-loathe. No, I spend a lot of time thinking. In fact, I'd probably say I spend more time thinking than doing. And this is a field of work where you have to spend more time doing than thinking. More often than not, confidence goes a long way, and it's really easy to struggle with imposter syndrome when you're just starting out. And I don't mean just starting out in your profession, I mean with an idea, because you might have an idea and you might think about it for a really long time, and then one day you might wake up and go, actually it's a crap idea. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't explore the idea and make it tangible as well, because it's all well and good thinking about it, but if you put it down on paper, if you do some doodles, see where it goes. That's the only way to truly explore if you have a coherent story on your hands. Make it real. I love writing a screenplay. If I have an idea for a story, the first thing I do is I open up screenwriting software and I just write a few lines. If more ideas come to me relating to that specific story, I'll write a few more lines. And then if it easily flows, before I know it, I've got 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, so on and so forth. It can happen. It's like anything else, it just requires practice. It's like a muscle that needs to be exercised. And if you don't do it for a long time, if you don't practice putting your ideas out there, your muscles are going to start to fray, they're going to start to atrophy. I try and read so much. Studying the work of others is the only way to sort of explore your own stuff. I don't believe in being your own inspiration. I think that's a joke. Who does that? You need inspiration, and the best way to be inspired, or one of the best ways to be inspired, is to consume the work of others. Everyone perceives different works differently. So what you might appreciate about a piece of work will be completely different to what someone else appreciates about it. I would be remiss if I didn't direct a project at some point in my life, just to see A, if I can do it, and B, what the final output would be like. And if I get to come back and direct other projects later in my life, that would be fantastic. It's not my main goal, but I wanted to tell a story that meant something to me and could mean something to others. I put the ideas together, I watched lots of montage, and I thought, we consume this contemporary media that's so short form and whittles down our attention span, and I want to shoot a film that's like that, that keeps you engaged because it's in this style of short form content, very short held shots and loud agonizing sound. It's almost supposed to be overstimulating, that's the whole point. We're shooting all these different sequences in all these different locations with all these different characters and all these different things for the audience to consume and to try and grapple with. It's going to be great. So, this is one of our opening shots, where our protagonist is lying in bed. He's not asleep, he's already awake, because he can't sleep without some kind of stimulation. And then we have setting, time and place. We really know where he is, he's in bed, we know what time it is, and time is a prevalent theme throughout this story, because you don't know how much time is passing, how much he's thinking in what period. So the film is going to be 10 minutes long, but for all you know, it could be taking place over multiple days, or it could be in the course of a few minutes. This is an unfinished storyboard. I've penciled it, I've sketched it, but I've not inked it. And there's going to be a nice wide shot where he gets up, the clock's in frame, and then he's going to move from here, off the bed, and then eventually out the room this way. I really hate storyboarding. I like drawing, but the amount of time that it takes, I'm not like a huge natural sketch artist, but then it's kind of necessary when you're shot listing and you're trying to do previs, because how else are people know what you're talking about when you're trying to do the shots on the day? So we have to talk about the crew. I'm surrounded by people who know me, who trust me, and I know that if there's something I don't know, or I can't assure myself that I can do something, I know I have people on hand who know what they're doing and can do it for me. I'm playing with scissors, I should not do that on camera. Let me start again. I would not be where I am without Micah Clarke. I've been friends with the man for many, many years, and we've always been brought together by our shared love of filmmaking, and we never quite got round to making a film together just because life would take us in different directions. But now we are working together. Mike is my first assistant director. I couldn't do it without him. I've also known Tom Fantini Simpson for many years. Tom's production managing. He's efficient, he's fast, he knows what he's doing, and he might be the most organised man I know. Obviously, Luke Jones is our director of photography. Luke has been camera operating and had experience in the camera department for quite a few years now. He knows when to listen and he knows when to talk, because when he talks, it's very valuable. He's always got a very insightful opinion to share, and he knows far more about the technical specifications of the work than I ever possibly could. Obviously, we've got our BTL crew. We've got Jack Farrelly, we've got Ash McDermott on socials. I've recently just hired Shah Johnson as our head of publicity, and she's overseeing all of this that's happening right now. Shout out to Shah, because when your crew gets to a certain size, there's just certain things that you don't have time for anymore in the day. You know, so Shah handles the socials and our publicity and making sure we're being seen while we're doing what we're doing. I don't have time for that. I'm handling budgets and location agreements and talent contracts. So God knows I don't have time to be posting selfies and looking at all of that. We have Kieran Valina on, lighting and tech assistant, great guy. But yeah, we're a small crew, we're not a huge crew. I don't believe in having this overinflated crew, because if we all do our fair share, then the production will come out nicely. It's quality of people, not quantity, I feel. Life gets a lot easier when you learn to delegate. And do you know what the great thing is about working with your close friends is that sometimes it can ruin a friendship and other times it can make it stronger. But when you love the work as much as you do, we know that any kind of fight or disagreement is inconsequential compared to our common goal. There are these two very lovely actors named Torrin Reese and Kelly Townsend, who has worked with Micah before. And they come very highly recommended by Micah, and I trust Micah's word. I've seen some of Torrin's work that he's posted, and he's obviously very talented, and he works with some very talented people, and he knows who to work with to get the best performance out of him. Kelly is very hardworking as well. Kelly recently did an advert for Central Bets College. So yeah, very, very versatile actors. They're very talented, very hardworking, very busy actors. So the fact that they're taking time out of their schedule to come and work with us, I feel very grateful for. I'm very excited to be working with these actors, and I'm excited to see what kind of range of emotion and performance they bring to these roles. And that's another thing about directing as well, is that as a producer, you work with actors only in a business capacity. You're having them sign contracts and you're negotiating deals. But as a director, you get to help them develop and form this character so that it's more than just words on a page. It's a fully fleshed out experience, not just for the audience but for the actor, so they know what they're doing, they understand the mindset, the mentality, the draws, the inspiration of the characters, where they're going, where their arc takes them, where they've been previously, and how that's going to affect their future arc. Okay, so story time. We started developing this project in September of 2025. At the end of October 2025, I was laid off from my job. I was planning to self-finance this production. That's no longer a case. So we are crowdfunding. You should crowdfund, you should donate. I didn't want to crowdfund originally because I'm not huge on asking people for money and giving almost nothing in return. We can give people guarantees on where their money is going and how it's being spent appropriately. But you know, it's a big ask in this day and age, in this economy, in this world that we live in, to ask people for money for art. Obviously we have to preserve culture and we have to preserve expression, but it makes me all the more thankful when people do support us. It's definitely a challenge. You know, we're basically making this for no money, and in the grand scheme of the film industry, this is basically a no budget project. We're making it for like £1,200. Obviously we have budget meetings week by week, and we discuss, do we need this, do we need that, what kind of health and safety do we need to consider, what kind of equipment might we need to rent out. It varies and it fluctuates, but ultimately it circles around £1,200. And that's how much we need, and that's a lot of money if you don't have it, but we are going to overcome it. We have a great team of shareholders. You know, everyone's invested in this production, not just fiscally, but as work as well. Because everyone gets their say, everyone gets to have their piece of this production. It's a collaborative effort. I couldn't do it without others. The plan is with this film is to demonstrate what kind of production value and scope we can achieve with such a small budget. The plan is to go to film markets, festivals, and say, look at this film that we made, look at how little we made it, why don't you finance our next project? The next film, I'd like to do a feature science fiction. A Wild Western style story about overcoming fascists previously thought forgotten and defeated. It's a story about the migrant crisis, it's a story about finding a new home, it's about overcoming prejudice. I know, it's an overdone trope in science fiction, but we're going to try and do something fresh with it. I'd like to do a superhero film at some point. That's finicky, that's tricky. An original superhero probably, because trying to get the rights to do someone else's work, that's a lot of work at this level. But, you know, always open to it. I guess the goal long term is, like I said, it's to make art. It's to make work where I'm expressing myself, others get to express themselves, and we're leaving impressions on others. Doesn't matter if they like it or they hate it. What matters is they've seen it. At the start of my second year of college, I made like this short horror film that was kind of like a Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel type story, but budget constraints, resource restraints meant that I had one child and I was the killer. So when I was at 18, I made an autobiopic that was like a chronicle of my life in college up until that point. It was a great way to express myself and find a character arc within a story that audiences could maybe connect to. I could never release the film, I could never show it to anyone, but it was very cathartic to make for me.
What was the name of the autobiography again?
Whiskey for breakfast.
Whiskey for breakfast. It's just coffee and cigarettes for breakfast now. I've come down a notch, it's okay. The reason why I can't show Whiskey for Breakfast to anyone is because it's got copyrighted music in it. And I have... Unfortunately, the raw footage has been lost to time, so there's no way of me, unless I would completely go and reshoot the entire film, which I won't do. I think I'm in a place now where I'm a bit beyond doing all of that. The only way I could redo it is by muting the audio and then re-recording some lines, but again, I think I'm a bit past that now. I could upload clips, but it's also not my finest work, and I feel like if I were to upload it now, it wouldn't reflect where I am in terms of my experience. Whiskey for Breakfast, where is it? My Films, WFB Final Cut. We'll play this footage here.
Hey! What? Stop complaining. Literally, just shut the fuck up.
And before the copyrighted music starts, so obviously very cheap visual effects. You may have noticed the room lit up as he was firing the shots. Never mind the cheap visual effects for the muzzle flash. But that was just literally just taking a single frame of the shot and just changing the colour, you know. And it's so on and so forth. I made this when I was 18. It's hardly a masterpiece. It's not exactly The Godfather, but it does insist upon itself. Given that I was just one man making it, I remember being told by Brendan, our lecturer at the time, don't make a 20-minute film. You're more likely to make a 20-minute crap film than you are a 5-minute really good film. And he said, stick to a 5-minute film. And I was like, whatever. So I made a 17-minute film, and then I got a really high grade. Because I'm just built different, apparently. That's a joke. I produced a film called The Script that was directed by Keith Chanakira, and that went to a lot of film festivals in East Sussex. It hit a couple of festivals in Italy. It did really well, and that film is my pride and joy. Nice, simple concept, executed brilliantly, and that's kind of all it really takes. So again, it comes back to, if you don't necessarily think you're the best at something, surround yourself with people that you know can do a better job. So we went for a test shoot on the 25th of October. We were figuring out blocking and lighting, camera angles, like the cinematography of it all. Obviously we didn't work out performance with actor because the talent wasn't there that day. So it was predominantly working out all the technical aspects. And then because all that's going to be worked out and has been worked out and we know what we need, I can spend all my time on the day of actually shooting working with the actors. It's all in hand. I work with some very talented people and they know what they're doing. I try to communicate with them as much as possible about my vision and how they can collaborate on that vision, and we can make it all a shared process. And if it's a shared process, they're more likely to remember and understand what they're supposed to do in their capacity in their various roles. And yeah, that permits me to then work with the actors more closely. The footage was good. We got there and we only had one light, and I've been saying to the team, our lighting setup is going to need to be a bit more complex. The sequence is supposed to be in the dark, it's in a tunnel, so I want to edge light the subject in the frame so that you can tell who and what the subject is, but the light's not too glaring and the shadows aren't cast on the wall behind him. But otherwise the footage was fine. We had Tom, the production manager, fill in as the subject, and he did a pretty good job. He's a very handsome man. Even if I never take off as a filmmaker, even if I'm still doing this well in my 50s, still at the level where I'm at, I'd still be happy. I'd still be content with it. Sure, I'd be a little bit annoyed that it's not gone anywhere, but we've got one life. It's not always necessarily about getting into the room with the right people. It's about showing what you can do when you're in front of those people. And the work will generally speak for itself. I love making films. I do love making films, and it's the only thing I ever want to do with my life. Someone hire me, please. Yeah? Please?